7 candidates are vying in the March 3rd primary election for the state Senate seat in District 13. Stretching from South San Francisco to Sunnyvale, the district includes 500,000 registered voters. To help residents understand the views of those hoping to represent them, the Palo Alto Weekly, the Almanac, and the Mountain View Voice conducted endorsement interviews with 6 of the 7 candidates. Here are excerpts from those interviews. To see the full half-hour endorsement videos for specific candidates, just click on the playlist at the end of this video.
First, I came up with a very comprehensive climate plan. I don't know if you guys have a copy of that. I have one for you here. But it covers everything from our government operations, right, leveraging the procurement power that we have as a state to both buy clean energy and buy electric vehicles, preferably from companies that are cooperating with California and not with the Trump administration, but also set a market for things like carbon-negative building materials, carbon-negative cement. Secondly, transportation. We've done a good job of electrifying our grid. What we've not done a good job of is plugging that transportation sector into the grid, right? So our emissions from cars are actually increased rather than decreasing, which is one of the reasons we're not currently on track to meet our 2030 goals. Ag tech, we can do agriculture in a way that actually sequesters carbon. There's some incentives put in the federal farm bill, and there's some things we need to do here that I write about. And then clean energy innovation. So both clean air, banning these two-stroke motors, so leaf blowers and lawnmowers that are estimated to have more particulate pollution by 2030 than all cars on the road.
And I've started thinking increasingly about this as a local government official. I mean, I've spent 10 years. I sometimes say to my elected friends, no one will push harder for responsible local control than me, because I've spent 10 years pushing back against bad ideas from Sacramento. So I think the notion of challenging cities to deliver plans that are going to work is absolutely appropriate. That I think is fine. And by work, I think we need to check it not with some state housing authority, which is just a check the box kind of exercise, but let's get a panel of experts together. Let's get builders and financiers, people who are actually in the industry, and they'll tell you, if you rezone this area, yes, the land price is such that we will see redevelopment. I mean, the day after, I'm not joking, the day after our general plan update was approved, we had a proposal for 300 units, 15% would be affordable. So, demonstrably, it's going to work. And so we should challenge, it's fair to challenge each city to show us how you want to accommodate this, or how do you want to participate. We all need to play in the solution.
So I would suggest that we not have uncontrolled development of industrial or residential without the necessary infrastructure in place to go along with it concurrently. If we have a goal of 75,000 jobs in the county, then the county needs to step up, and either they can put in the roads, the schools, the water that they need, or they need to decline the zoning and the development. Development and zoning are not independent of the need for infrastructure around them. There just needs to be some sort of check that if your next 5 years, if you're going to allocate this many new housing units and this many new commercial, I'll call them units for now, there needs to be a plan to support it with the necessary infrastructure so that everybody's quality of life doesn't degrade, there aren't vast environmental impacts, and there aren't safety and health issues associated with it.
Well, in the Bay Area in general, we've had a housing first philosophy, and it's been a philosophy of backing away from shelter space and going for permanent housing, which is very well intentioned, but it's led to thousands of people being on the streets. And so I think that there is a role for shelters, for stabilizing people that need it. Right now, the shelters that we have are not accessible by transit. They are generally in warehouse areas that are not safe for women in particular to get to. They are not adjacent to schools and services for children. And so I think that we need to do better on that. And we need to admit that we need all of these different layers. The RVs are going to be a part of our housing mix going forward. So we have to have local communities figuring out a way to live with them.
So I've been trying to figure this whole puzzle out for quite some time. And, you know, funding has to be, in my opinion, our number one priority. How we do that, there's a variety of different ways, but we need more money in the system. We have a new funding system. It needs tweaks, but let's work on the tweaks. We have new standards and assessments. Let's just invest in making sure that our teachers have the resources that they need to teach these standards well, and so that the kids can do well on the assessments because they're getting good classroom teaching. Let's work on the California School Dashboard, which completely changed how we look at how schools are serving kids and families. Let's not throw the dashboard out. Let's say, like, what do we think, what are the changes we need to make?
I'm not so sure that it's the problem of the local municipalities to be punished for the situation. I know that homeless people, I live in Millbrae, and we're the last end of BART. And I know that those are not Millbraeans. Those are people that came from and off BART. Yet they're people. And these people need to be taken care of. I don't really think that it's Millbrae's problem or Millbrae has the solution. I think this needs to be a statewide solution. People need to be cared for when they're ill. So if in fact we could look at that situation of addiction and mental health issue, homeless people, yes, they need to be taken care of as an illness. You know, teachers living in cars, that's a housing issue. But addiction and mental health issues on the street, people living on the street, that's a care and shelter need that is need from a professional.